everybody, welcome back. This is going to be the last in our series looking at some miniatures manufacturers. I've got 4 more for you today, so let's crack on and take a look at them. Here we are again, and today we're going to be looking at some more RPG focused miniatures manufacturers. I like my RPG miniatures. I've got big collections of townsfolk and various other bits and pieces. So I'm a sucker for RPG miniatures. And Reaper, I think everyone probably will be aware of through their Bones range, if nothing else. If you want anything at all, any miniature at all, there's a pretty good chance that Reaper do it. I'm not going to be able to look through the entirety of their website because it would take months. There's so much stuff here, so much stuff. But do have a hunt through. There are lots of things. If you like your metal figures, there's a really goodly amount of metal still in their store. It's not super cheap, but it's also not crazy expensive. And bearing in mind that this is aimed at people who are picking up characters for role-playing stuff, if you're only needing to buy 1 or 2, the quality of Reaper's metal figures are well worth paying the slightly higher price tag for. If you're a dungeon master and you're looking for some cheap plastic figures to fill in your collection, I'm sure you'll all be familiar with the Bones range by now. Bones has kickstarted so many figures, and the plastic that used to be horrible and unpaintable and bendy and push all the paint off, this new sort of black Bones plastic is a lot better. It's a big improvement. Not nearly as bendy, not nearly as prone to coming warped. Takes paint a lot better. So I will recommend this black Bones plastic to you as a useful source of some baddies. But again, you probably wouldn't want to build an entire army from these guys unless you had won the lottery, because either they may be cheaper options than their metal figures, there's still some hefty price tags in here. Now, what Reaper do have, which is really, really useful because they've got so many figures in their range, is this figure finder. So if you're building a character for your RPG, you can go through these selectors and you can try and pick out the absolute specifics of what you're looking for. I'm looking for a female gnome holding a polearm and wearing the ones that grayed out, ones that they don't have any choice for. So you can't have a gnome wearing nothing but wearing a hat. There we go. And it gives me the one gnome that they have, female gnome with a polearm and a hat. So let's go back again. Let's say I want metal, of course, fantasy. I want a male orc holding a crossbow and wearing anything. There we go. It's my half-orc assassin. An orc wearing anything with a crossbow. So that's handy if you're looking for something very, very specific. Another company that's very good for that kind of thing is Otherworld Miniatures. Oh, sorry. I don't mean Otherworld Miniatures. Well, we are going to talk about Otherworld Miniatures, but let's come back to them, because the other company that's very good at this is Dark Sword Miniatures, that has a miniature finder. Again, there's so much stuff in here, and it's all really beautiful, and it's all metal, as far as I'm aware, apart from the 3D printable stuff, but we'll ignore that for the moment. And here you can pick by sculptor, by gender, by fantasy race, by general class, by armor type. Oh, they have got some resin. There you go. You can have some resin if you want. If you want an anthro animal range, you can have that. And then here are your possible results. So it's not quite so exact as Reaper. It's giving you some suggestions rather than just exactly what you ask for, but that's quite helpful sometimes, especially if you're asking for a weird selection of things. And as you can see from the amazing painting on here as well, they get some really, really top-notch sculptors and some really top-notch painters to just absolutely beautifully sell their various characters. And of course, if you want the general search, you can do a general search, or you can have a look for particular artists' work. So, for example, the Elmore Masterworks will all be pieces that are based on Elmore paintings and drawings. There's the Game of Thrones range there. They have some bigger sort of display miniatures, and then I think you can also search from. Oh, of course, you can search from sculptors as well in the miniature finder if you have a particular sculptor that you would like Tom Mayer, for example. Then you can find all of the Tom Mayer characters in the range. Yeah, really beautiful. Big price tags on here. Well, they're not huge price tags, are they? But they're bigger than you'd want to build an army from. But again, this is roleplay focused. So you're going to be building your one particular character. My gripe, if I have a gripe with Dark Sword miniatures, is that they're all, or most of them at least, are multi-part. And they're not oversized. They're sort of true scale figures. If anything, they're a bit sort of long and lanky and slender. And so fitting a separate hand to a separate wrist and a separate head to a separate neck is quite tricky with some of these figures. So you definitely are better off assembling them, painting them, and leaving them well alone. If you're going to be touching them, fiddling around with them, pushing them around a game board, you want to be quite gentle with a lot of these figures. So just be aware. But yeah, if they're just going to sit in front of you and represent you, or you're just going to move them around a little D&D cardboard floor plan or something, then they'll be absolutely top notch for that, which is what they're intended for. So there you go. That works out well. Okay, let's go back to Otherworld Miniatures. Otherworld Miniatures, again, lots of people will know, I'm sure. These guys have a lot of stuff, and it's very D&D RPG focused, but really lovely figures. Again, they're expensive. You pay for the quality for sure, but they are very nice. I hear from a little bird tells me on the grapevine and various other expressions that don't really fit together like that Otherworld may not be in operation for too much longer. That they're trying to get rid of some of their range, if not sell up the entire range. So I'm sure it will get purchased, but I'm sure it won't be a cheap sale. It won't be something that's within everyone's capabilities to subsume into their own ranges. So somebody will take it. It may well go to America, given that it's so D&D focused. So if you are in the UK and you're looking to buy stuff from Otherworld, I strongly suggest that you get your orders in imminently in the next few months, if you possibly can. Otherwise, you might find that things start to become unavailable. Now, although these do carry quite a heavy price tag, beautiful though they are quite expensive figures. There is the Overstock sale, which is worth checking out. So every now and again, because they're not casting their own figures, they're ordering in more of a type of figure than they need. And I'm sure they could send them back and get the metal weight back, but a figure once it's cast is worth more than the metal weight in its cast form. So Here, there is a discounted price for some things that they've got more of than they think they're going to sell. And in some cases, it's a 50% discount. So if you can find something that you want in this category, that takes it from being quite expensive to actually really very reasonable prices. So if you can find something that you like that they've got an awful lot of, you're going to get an absolutely stonking figure. Look at these, female gnome fighter in chainmail for £2.25. That is an absolutely bargain. You should buy that just because it's £2.25. These are really, really high quality figures. If you've ever seen them at shows, they're exceptional figures. And the overstock category is a way of getting excellent figures at a very reasonable price. So we're going to go to one more manufacturer in this series, and we're going to go to rpgelements.com. Now, this is not necessarily a manufacturer. I'm not quite sure how this works. But if we go to the Fifth Field Fantasy Miniatures range here, you will see a nice lot of characters in various categories: demons and devils and angelic beings and fictional deities and giants and humanoid monsters and mythology and undead and worms and miscellaneous monsters and adventurers and dungeon crawl classics and archive miniatures and metal magic miniatures and secret skeleton miniatures and Julie Guthrie miniatures. And this is kind of where I want to be looking, because these are ranges that have been in other places. So the Julie Guthrie miniatures are largely from Grenadier. I don't know anything about Secret Skeleton. Metal Magic, obviously, a lot of these are now with Midlam, but somehow this website has been able to acquire the rights to sell these figures. And I don't know if they're selling stock or whether they're actually casting these themselves. The prices are in dollars, so that makes me think that this is a US site. So it may be that Midlam have got the rights to sell some stuff in the US, in the UK, that these guys have got the rights to sell in the US. It may be that, we know that some mad things happened with the Grenadier sell-off, so that they've picked up the rights from there. But yeah, I don't know if they're. I suspect they are casting them, as their lead-free pewter is what they're advertising. So I expect that they are either casting them or having them cast to order, because these wouldn't have been lead-free pewter when they first came out, for sure. But there's some classic old sculpts in here, and they're not hugely expensive. The old hobby products finish. Yeah, old hobby products figures. And some of these are ones that aren't with Midlam either. So there's not a huge range of any of them. It's just a bit of an odd selection of figures have been pulled into here. And if I go into one of these categories are made up of mixtures of the various ones from those manufacturers that we've covered already. So it's the kind of thing that you need to have a bit of a plow through, because it's an eclectic assortment. Besides the kind of quite vague categories, adventurers, miscellaneous monsters, worms, undead, mythology, humanoid monsters, giants, fictional deities, angelic beings, devils, and demons. Besides those categories, there's not really any way of refining your search any further. So you do need to do a bit of scrolling, but there's not loads. This is another website where there aren't loads and loads and loads of things to choose from, but there are some quite interesting, fun, and classic sculpts on this website. Again, probably more useful for an RPG or a skirmishy type game. Frostgrave, Rangers of Shadowdeep, Ghost Archipelago, something of that nature, than there are for for armies, but you may find the odd monster to support an army in there. So there we go. There's our final 4 manufacturers for now. I'll keep an eye out and keep you appraised if I find any more, but I thought I should follow up that series and pick up on some that I hadn't included the first time around. Hope that's been useful. I hope that's found you some new places to spend some pennies, give some small manufacturers some of your hard-earned dosh, and get some beautiful sculpts in return. And I shall see you next week. Take care.